Okay, so John, I'm sorry, you were in the middle of telling us you were in this conference room trying to get some rest.
Right.
You're underneath the edge of the table because
Yep, a big conference table.
Yeah, just so you could feel comfortable.
Yeah, I was trying to sit back and you just compose. It's when idle time is not good when you're in those positions, because that's when your brain gets to sit and tell you what you just did, and then your body has to sort of compute with your brain and try to make some kind of understanding of it all. So I'm laying there trying to do all that, and then little by little, keep seeing that exit door out in the hallway. Just little by little, the door opens, and another emergency responder comes in who had the same idea as me. So the door would open, I would see the exit light, the door would close, another one came in. So this was happening a while. No one was saying a word to each other. People knew each other was there. You could hear everyone around. It was a dark. There's no light in this room whatsoever. None whatsoever. Until the door opens and you got a little reflection of that light. So I don't know. I'm guessing there were 20 people in there. There could have been more by that time. So someone starts saying something to somebody else, and I can tell they were military or cops or something. They were talking about other things that had happened and how this is like totally beyond anything that they had. And other people are, I guess they're all servicemen and cops, all chiming in about their military things and all scared to death. I'm just sitting there listening to all this. I'm not saying a word. And it finally comes around and someone asks me, what did I think? And I just I was in awe. I was like, you people are the military, and you people represent the cops, and you represent people that are protecting this country, and you have no idea, and you're asking me. I said, I'm a freaking operating engineer. I know less about this than you people do. Everyone shut up. No one said another word for a while. Then little by little, we went back out, went back to the pile. I'll never forget that. That was scary because I knew that no one knew nothing down there. No one knew anything down there. Because it was, we had the biggest demolition people there. I worked for one of the biggest demolition, and on that scale, it's not that it couldn't get done. It's definitely going to get done. But it's on such a grand scale. And besides, if it was just the demo part of it, it wouldn't have been, demos, the easiest thing to do is to clean up demo. As long as you see where it fell and where it's all about structural the integrity, where it's all sitting, and that's how you take it out. It's already down. But we have the reality of people in these. So you have to be particular. You got the poor iron workers and steel workers that particularly were hanging off there. A couple of my buddies, God bless them, particularly in those baskets, cutting everything out to get to the bodies. And my fellow operators and me, we would shake, and then leave it hanging, and then pick everything out. Because it's all metal, all rebar. It's depending upon how far down you got, is depending on the degree of what happens to bodies when something like that happens. You know what I mean? Like, you said to be very straightforward, so I'm going to be for everybody. The bigger size bodies were the ones that were on the perimeter. As you got further and further, there was less and less because of all the debris that hit everybody. And I had, I remember picking a lot of parts up, but and some, half bodies and stuff. But these firemen, there were these two firemen. I'll never forget that I found. The fire truck was being that we were on the west side. they had used the overhangs as their command center. So there were a lot of people that were killed under there. That we had pockets of a lot of brave people. A lot of brave people we found. And those two firemen, it was bad. You know, they were half there, holding on to the side of the, he was like cut from here down. He wasn't there, and he had his arm, he was holding on to the handle. It was a handle. I'm not sure if it was the door or just, I don't know, specifics. It didn't really, but the image was what I remember was the, like as the stuff was falling, he was either trying to get out of the truck, to go under the truck, or was trying to get in the truck. Something like that happened.
Was there a way for you guys to honor the dead? Or was there a way for you guys to honor the dead while you were there? Or, you know, it sounds like you had a lot of respect for what you were doing. You're being so meticulous.
The honor was finding the victims. You know, they at least had some, you know, being a very spiritual person that I am, I believe that at least these spirits, even though they didn't know what hit them, if we can bring some kind of closure to their soul, and if that means bringing them home to their family, then at least their souls can go to heaven. That's how I feel. That's what I believe. So that helped a lot. But like I said, the idle time was when they let us go home. And living out in Suffolk County, I lived on the South Shore, like inland, but by Fire Island, in a place called Ocean Parkway. I would take home. It just follows the ocean home.
It's pretty quiet.
And I remember stopping where the old Gilgo Inn used to be, the old OBI rather, OBI Inn, and then sitting there for like an hour. I don't think I stopped crying for like an hour on that beach that morning before I went home. It hit me then about like everything I did, and that's the time when I guess I questioned myself. I wondered whether I should go back or not, but I knew the answer. You know, I went back the next morning, but that was the only time I ever. After that, I was fine. I went there 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. 9.5 months I was there.
Why did you make that commitment?
I don't like people. I don't like bullies. I never liked bullies. And I feel like we were shit on. My city was shit on. My country was shit on. And I don't know. I was brought up that, you know, one thing that I remember being brought up was my family's always been, I've always been very patriotic to this country. I've never was in the service, but I was always patriotic to this country. I always loved this country. And for them to do something like that, it was like they did it to me. So there was no way that I wasn't going to be there until the last piece was gone, and I wasn't. I put like over 2,000 hours down there, something like that. I don't know. I don't know exact hours. I just know my union said it was like 9.5 months they have down that I was down there. So if you put that by 7 days a week, minus a couple of days, you know, everybody took off a day now and then. You had to. It gets to you after a while.
Were there other places down there, like you mentioned this hotel, where people could kind of just go and
No, this wasn't a place where we just went.
You just went. But
No,
were there places for people to go
they
to get
they
out
set
of
up
it?
some. They did that. From what I heard, they said, but who had the time to go to? If you had time to go to those places, then you weren't doing your job.
So
And
you
when I
didn't
was
really
done with
take
my
breaks?
job, did not want to stay in the city. I got in my freaking car and took off.
Yeah.
You know, I went in there and did my job. I heard that Stuyvesant High School had massage centers and people to go and talk to, I guess, and stuff like that. But I'm not sure who went there. Like I said, you know, you're there for 12 hours. We worked for 12 hours.
Did you eat
I went,
anywhere? Or?
yeah, they had this thing called the tent that they set up. It was a big white tent that was set. It was about a half a block from the World Trade Center, right by the water, along the river there. And they served food and stuff there, the Red Cross and stuff. But the problem there too was all that food was filled with the toxicities that we were just bringing. Either we brought in that was on us, or that's been in the air. They got into the food, you know. And that's what really bothers me, is that while I was down there, they had all these air monitors on my machine and on my brother and sister machines and on us. And we asked for those results while we were down there, and we never got one of them. We always got an excuse, but never got any of them.
So you had machines on you that were
Yeah, I had them on me. I had them all over my machine. We all did. They had monitors all over the place. I don't know one person that ever got a result, and we became friendly with the guys. One guy's name was Dan, and I forget his sidekick. But anybody that was down there know the two guys. They were the monitor guys.
Right.
And they were nice enough fellows, but they worked for the government. The government was covering everything up. The government knew that the air was bad down there when they were telling us it wasn't. They looked at us like they were guinea pigs.
Did you ever, when you were down there, I'm just curious, when you were down there, I mean, you saw it, did you ever question, like, while you were down there?
Yeah, question it. We weren't there 2 weeks. We were all coming up with yellow and green stuff out of our mouths and noses. It came up. That stuff coming out of us came out quick. It might have been less than 2 weeks. I'm just giving myself 2 weeks on this. But we noticed it almost right away. Could have been a week. I don't even know. It came up right away, the cough and the yellow and green stuff that was coming out of us. Meanwhile, Whitman is sitting there telling us the air was good. But she was just a go-between. They were telling her what to say, the government. So, you know, I blame her, but I blame our government. We had no mask. I have a hazmat license. We're not just dummies in the operating engineer. You have to get licenses. We deal with hazmat material. We deal with a lot of different stuff. It's not just jumping in Tonka toys and driving around. And we knew that. I knew the air was bad down there, but they had no mask for us. So, like I said, the initial shock, being on that pile on the 12th, standing on the top of that pile, breathing all that shit in, we were doomed that day. We killed ourselves. The day I went there is the day I killed myself. Not the day after. When I die, I want it to be 9/12/2001 on my tombstone, because that literally is the day I died from breathing all that shit in with no mask. Then they bought particle masks, which was the biggest insult to anybody's intelligence, which is basically a dust mask when you do sheetrock or something. We're dealing about chemicals and toxicities, and they knew it. It took them, I'll say, a month for the wash stations and a few weeks to start bringing real masks and cartridges. But that was to save the newbies that were coming in. We were already dead, the 10,000 or whatever we were that were down there. They already marked us for death. You know, then they brought in the right stuff. So the people that had got the right cartridges, I hope they don't ever get sick. But the ones that were down there like me, we're dying like flies. Yeah. there was a lot of stuff that went down there.
Were you concerned about it while you were down there, or was your focus?
I was concerned about it, but what was I going to do about it? It was either stay or go.
Mm-hmm.
And who else was going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
It was too late. Like I said, after the 12th, it didn't matter if I left or not.
Mm-hmm.
I had just been in a toxicity cesspool,
mm-hmm.
you know, a blender of chemicals, toxicities, and you know, what human can handle that. The reports are there now. That's why you're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a monitoring program. I belonged to this monitoring program from the day it started at Mount Sinai. I was one of the first ones to sign up while we were down there, knowing that this was not going to be good. But that's another story. So the reality was the buildings came down, complete annihilation of human life and of our dignity on this country, as far as I'm concerned. There was nothing really big. Glass was about that big. There was nothing. Everything was completely pulverized. Fire trucks were like little Tonka toys. They were smushed. You know, it wasn't a good sight. It wasn't a good sight. It wasn't good at all.
As time went on, I mean, you talk a little bit about the changes at the site. You know, you said that you established wash stations or you got some protective equipment. Did the work that you do change as well?
Well, sure. Everything, progression, as you progress, everything changes, especially in demolition, which, you know, even though it was a crime scene, it still was a demolition. So, you know, you start getting to the real big pieces as you get further down.
Okay.
You know, every day was the same. Every day, you know, you did your 12 hours.
What'd you do between your shifts when you went home? What happened?
I did projects. I never really slept. What you think, you know, you work 12 hours, it takes you at least 2 to get home. In the morning, it didn't take an hour to get in. So there's 3 hours of the 12 hours you're going to sleep. And I did a dining room, living room floor in my house at night. I redid a lot of stuff. I couldn't sleep. You know, I didn't take it. You know, I didn't even learn about PTSD until like a year ago, to tell you the truth. I never thought I even had it. I still don't believe that I do, but everybody else does. You know.
Do you live alone? Were you alone? Or
No, I was married. I'm divorced now, which that played a part of it. Not a lot. It definitely played a little bit of it, not all of it. Sometimes things don't work out, but it definitely didn't. It didn't help.
So you were coming home to your wife.
Back then, I had a wife and I had 2 kids, which I still have. I have 2 great kids, and.
So it must have been hard for your family. I mean, to have you down there.
I know it was hard for my kids, but they were young. I don't know. I don't really remember my ex. Really, I don't really remember her saying much about it, to be very honest with you.
Did your kids know what was going on? Were they old enough to understand that there was this disaster?
Let's see, 90. My son was 6, and my daughter was 11. So they were well aware of it. You know.
And they probably heard in school things.
In school, plus, you know, I would see them and put them to bed when I got home and stuff. Plus, I did, you know, back then it was on every channel, every day. So it's different than like when I grew up, JFK was killed, and I was born in the '60s. You know, you had black and white, maybe a little TV, a little paper about it. You know, these days when something like that, it's on every billboard. Never mind every paper, every news web, every computer. You know, so kids are in tune more now than they ever were. So So they knew exactly what was going on. I know they worried. I remember talking to them a lot about it. But to be honest with you, it took more of a toll on them now than it did then. And it happens to a lot of the 9/11 emergency responders, which a lot of people outside the New York metropolitan area, unless you know a responder, or if you're in this area, you get to read it in the papers now and then. That they're still fighting today. They're fighting for their health. They're fighting for their survival. I mean, so am I. We all are. So it never really ended. When I was done there, I thought I was done with 9/11. I literally thought that was it. I would just move on, go to the next job, and just go on with whatever semi-normal American life's supposed to be. But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for the responder. I don't know anybody that was down there that wasn't affected. It took a while. Things always do, though, especially in your brain and in your mind. It takes a long time for things to set in, and it takes time for it to be triggered. So over the last years, it's been sort of idling people, and not just their mental state, but their health. Things grow, things spread, and it takes years for that to happen. But that's what you're seeing now. It's been almost 10 years now, and a lot of people are dying. It's over 1,000 responders now that are dead. There'll be, by the time this gets all aired, there'll probably be hundreds more.
So how would you say this disaster affected you personally the most?
Well, besides, like I said, when I got out of there, at the time, I didn't think I was really affected by it. I always thought I was pretty indestructible. It evidently basically destroyed my life, 9/11. I don't like to use that because I'm a half-full type guy, but it has definitely put a lot of strain over the last couple of years. Definitely on it with my health. But even before that, you can only think back on things. It's too bad you can't think back on it while it's happening. You can't because it would be easy to put things back in place. But you can't put things back in place, so you learn. And that's what I'm learning now,
Are you haunted by these memories? You described some things that are very horrible and...
I don't know if I never talk about this stuff. The only time in the last year I had a reason to talk about it. And but besides that, I never would bring it up to friends. They never brought it up to me. It's nothing I really like to talk about, to be honest with you. The only reason I talk about it is if I think that something good's going to happen out of it, then I'll bring it up. That's the only reason I'm even here right now. If I didn't believe in what you were doing, you'd have somebody else sitting here instead of me.
Do you feel isolated because of that?
I don't know if my personality doesn't let me feel isolated. It doesn't. I do feel isolated, though. Sometimes I guess I feel, I'm not sure if it's isolation, because I know there's a lot of people going through what I'm going through. It's more like, how many more lessons do I have to go through? It means, I believe in God, and it's always like, how many more life lessons, how much more of your work am I going to do? Not that I'm complaining, but I need to. I'm always out there helping and trying to help others with their questions. I only have a few, and he's the only one that can answer them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want to visit him anytime soon. I've been fighting to try not to do that. But just a few questions I need answered.
So it sounds like your faith was tested a little bit, this whole thing.
You know what? I'm 50 years old. You had in your journey and in your path, you go through tests all the time, and I'm sure you do, and everybody else does. We all do. It's just human nature. It's what it can be a real cruel. Living on Earth can be a real cruel world, and you don't even have to be doing anything wrong for it to be set upon you. You know what I'm saying? So you need to just enjoy what you have while you have it. People say that, but it's the truth. And you can believe that in a person like me. I've died twice already to this whole thing. And the reality is, life is still better than death, no matter what sacrifices, what burdens you may go through. The ultimate is death, and it's going to come anyway. Why you give it why give it a helping hand?
In our community, and especially in the New York area, but immediately after 9/11, the responders were referred to as heroes. 9/11 heroes, especially in the media. How do you feel about that term?
I hate the word heroes. I just can't stand it. I don't like 9/11 heroes, first off. I personally don't. I believe that this country is it doesn't really have the true perspective of what went on down there, and that's another reason why I'm here. I represent the civilian population of this country and the union tradesmen of this country and of this city. When I say that, I'm a union man, and if it wasn't for me and my brothers and sisters and all the union trades, and I mean that, the work would have never been done. The cops and the firemen, you want to use the word hero, fine. They're heroes. I come from a fireman cop family. You were a fireman, you were a cop, you were a priest, or you were a tradesman. My father was the cop, my cousins are the firemen, my other cousins the priest, and me and a whole bunch of cousins are tradesmen. So I think I'm allowed to say what I have to say. The firemen and the cops, they do their job every day. That is their job. So they are heroes in my eyes for going out of their way, running into the burning buildings. It takes large coconuts to do what the firemen do. And the cops, they get in the middle of a gunfight. Unless you've ever been in a life and death situation, it takes huge coconuts to do that. And it takes certain people. So I'm not taking anything away from them. But it was the tradesmen. It was the tradesmen that made a difference down there. And they're the ones that aren't being heard. And I've been standing up for it since I could learn how to speak again. That if it wasn't for the tradesmen, if it wasn't for us moving that pile, cutting that pile, torching that pile, but, there were so many trades down there, so I'm just going to say tradesmen because I don't want any trade to ever think that I don't. I think everybody that was down there, every union member, played a big part in the 9/11, if you want to call it, the 9/11 disaster. If it wasn't for them, I don't know. I really don't see that pile would have been moved, that those bodies would have been found. People might like to believe it on the other side, but I'm telling you the truth. There's just no way it would happen. And the city workers, they're union too, so I'm glad I covered them. I got a good buddy who's a DOT guy. I mean, the DOT guys were doing their bit. They, I would move all the cars that were burnt up under the custom building, and they were moving them out. I mean, it was just a large-scale effort, but it was the unions that did it. Don't ever kid yourself that it was the firemen. Well, firemen were side by side. It's not even fair. And the specialty cops, were definitely there. But that they were on the side of us, or they were behind us, because we were the one that led the way with the machinery, with the steel and dock workers burning that steel. You can go with the carpenters and the laborers. If you didn't have all these guys, the electricians, the plumbers, I mean, it was a large-scale effort. And if it wasn't for your union tradesmen, that would have never been done. And not that quick. Nowhere in the world could you get all that capability of manpower, machine power, and the capability of all three of those things working together hand in hand to do it, like you can in this country. But what did we learn by it 10 years later? That's what I want to know. What have we learned?
Well, that's one question I have for you. What do you think are the lessons that should have been learned from this?
Well, first off, we should have learned it from World War II, Pearl Harbor. If we can't let history just keep repeating ourselves, shame on us. I mean, we used to be a force to be reckoned with, because we used to do everything with inside this country. We don't do that anymore because of big business. Big business says you do it outside America because it's you get cheaper goods. What happened? This country got weak. We have. And I blame the government. I blame them directly. And I can say that because that's another part of the story that we'll get into in a second. But I also blame the people because we're the ones that vote them in. You know what I'm saying? So for every one of us to sit there to blame the government, you got to blame ourselves, because in this country at least we have the right to vote. So we're not doing a good job voting the right people in. And they're not doing the right thing of keeping up with their promises. See, they'll say the world, but they won't, they said that the air was good down there for us, and that we were covered in the, excuse me. And they said that the air was good, and that Hal Bush himself said that every 9/11 emergency responder will be covered. We will take care of you. It's 10 years later. We finally got a bill passed that is flawed with holes. I know you need a bill, and we needed this bill to be passed. And it's a foundation. But when you have a foundation and take it from a guy that's a builder, if that foundation is weak, then it is flawed. And so is this bill. When you start taking billions and billions of dollars out of it, you're taking billions and billions of dollars out of the 9/11 emergency responders. Deserve their health, and they deserve their compensation. And they're not getting neither right now. I did a show with 3 other responders. It's called The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. We did it right before Christmas. And it was a panel, and there were 4 of us on here. There's a fireman, a cop, a city worker, and me, the tradesman, representing the union tradesmen. This is Olga bill was passed. Guess how many people out of that round table are actually covered under this new Olga bill? 1. So 1 out of 4 people that were sitting there fighting to get the bill passed are not even covered under the bill right now. If you use that as 1 in 4, so you're telling me 1 in 4 9/11 responders are gonna suffer and die, that are gonna lose their homes? It's wrong. Every 9/11 emergency responder, if you can show that you were down there, and that's another thing, there are a lot of phonies out there. You prove it, that you deserve it. And it's simple as that. I don't want to hear about any other bills that got put into this bill. This bill was to protect and preserve the 9/11 emergency responder and their families, because this is the problem of next generation. No one's bringing that up, so I'm gonna. When we brought those toxicities home, we brought them home to our kids. Don't tell me that somewhere along the line some of these kids aren't going to get sick from us bringing that stuff home.
On your clothes.
Brought on our clothes. They had these little malls there, little tent shops that were supposedly get closed and changing and stuff. But there was a lot of thieving going on down there. A lot of people felt that because of who they were entitled to whatever they wanted down there. I saw a lot of really good people down there, and I saw a few real shitty ones. But I'll never mention that. Who, what agencies, what people. You're always going to have really good apples and a few bad ones in anything. So.
Was there anything down there that you take away that inspired you? Or that you can look back and say, well, this was at least a positive thing that came out of it?
Positive things that came out of this. Well, I could take the easy way out and say that it was the victims, ones that were identified, those families had closure. I think that's good. And that's it.
So for a guy whose glass is usually half full,
I'm trying to find something.
There's just,
But they're honestly, I don't see anything else that became good out of it besides the 9/11 people that are fighting. We can get into in a minute.
Do you think that it's changed the way you view life a little bit?
I'm not as tied up, I guess. I mean, it was always fairly easy going, but things can just bounce off me now. You
don't care?
It's not that I don't care. I don't let it bother me anymore. I care. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't care. I do care. I still have a fight for the 9/11 responders that are uncovered right now. It's just tough. I mean, the reality is a lot of us, after all this, besides dealing with what we just discussed, when we got out of there, a lot of us had asthma and breathing problems, which were associated with being down there. None of us thought that years later that we would be dying. There's a lot of us now that are. We've buried over 1,000 responders already that were down there, just like me, doing the same thing. You should ask that question to their families, the ones that are already dead. Did they see anything positive that came out of it? Their husbands, their wives, their mothers and fathers are dead. You think that I don't see any, there's no money in the world. There's no material value in the world that could ever compensate for someone's loved ones to die like that, for something that they thought they were doing good. These people that have died already, they did exactly like I did. They went down there to help this country out. They never planned on dying from it. At least not dying 6 years later, that fast that we're dying off. I mean, the reality is that you're doing this study and stuff because you see the amount of people that are getting sick now. I know that. And you're seeing how fast these diseases are growing. I know it through the cancer aspect because of my cancer. The cancer that we get is the most quickly developed cancer that the doctors have ever seen. And not just my cancer, any type of cancer that 9/11 responders get it quickly grows and quickly spreads. It's some of the most advanced cancers, and I've heard that directly out of the doctor's mouths, considering my life is filled with doctors.
Does it scare you, your future?
No, I don't know. I don't know where my future is. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I know my future's cut short. Death never scared me, so I'm not worried about dying. Do I want to be around for a while? Certainly, that's why I've been fighting to live. But I know in the end, it's not going to be up to me. You know, I died twice last year. I got a level 4 inoperable throat cancer from ground zero a year and a half ago. And the recovery's been awful. I thought the radiation, chemo was tough enough, but you compensate it. You give a lot when you do 33 radiations and 8 chemos. That tends to screw your body up, evidently. So even though I'm here talking, by no means is it it's a challenge every day for me. I died twice in the hospital last year. I was in the hospital like for 3 months. I've had feeding tube fell out of me a couple of months ago, so I refused to put it back in. I was done with that. I just learned how to speak. I don't know, 6 months ago maybe, when I finally was starting to able to make some words. I had to learn how to talk again. I don't know how to eat. Due to all the radiation and stuff, the epiglottis, which is the little flap in your throat, from all the radiation and stuff, mine stays open, like where yours closes, so when you eat, your food goes down into your stomach. Mine basically stays open, and I get a ton of stuff that sits on my lungs, so now I fight aspiration pneumonia all the time, which I'm fighting all the time. So, and then there's from the radiation and all my neck and stuff is totally shot. So I've gone through, this will be my 5th operation. I had 4 already. I got one coming up on March 17th. They're going to try to stretch my throat again. So that will be the 5th time they'll do that. Because my mouth was the size of the opening of my mouth. I've gotten it to that, which is a little bit better, but it's not really. Everything's just fried. I go through physical therapy all the time. I take numerous medicines, which are ridiculous. They have a medicine now for everything, I guess. And then the breathing, that's not good. I just want to be, I knew I was going to get sick, so I'm not looking for like a poor me. But there's a lot of other people like me in my position that need to be covered. Mm-hmm. I do these things just to point out the fact that it's not that what I'm going through, so many other people are going through. Mm-hmm. And there are some that are not as fortunate that actually, have died through this. Mm-hmm. That I want everybody to know that 9/11 is because, it's 10 years later. It's not really dead in a lot of people. In a sense, those poor victims that died in the tower, I don't mean this to be in any sense or form. Hopefully they died without pain and quickly. The responders that went to get those people were all dying slowly and painfully. It's literally, and that compromises a lot of things, not only your own lives, but the lives and the people that surround you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to live with all that. You have to live with your own immortality and your own problems, but you also have the responsibility of those around you. So, it's sort of twofold. And, even though they're not sick, they are sick because they're compromised too, because, you're limited and you're sick. You know what I'm saying? So you really don't have to be sick to still feel the effects of it.
Do you ever regret it?
I'm one of those idiots that would go back. I know a lot of my fellow brothers and sisters said that they wouldn't. But I didn't do this for the government. I did this for the people of this country. So I would go back only because of that reason, if I needed to be. But I wouldn't go back for the government. The government kissed my ass. They're not all of them. There are some nice. I'm not saying all of them. We're very fortunate that the New York, the congressman, they were all pretty decent people, actually. They were all fighting for us. So I have, and Senator Gillibrand and King and Mahoney, and there's a list of them, and Schumer. They're all, they've done a lot for us. So I'm not anti-government. I don't like where our government has gone. They're not there for the people. They need to read their own constitution. Because listen, I've been down to D.C. banging on their doors. I'm an activist for this bill that was just passed. So we literally would go down to D.C. banging on each senator's door, looking for people to help us. A lot of them would close the door on us. A lot of them would send their interns. They wouldn't confront the problem themselves. And these are the people that are working for us. We're in a sad state with this government, I'm sorry to say.
John, we're almost to the end of the
Okay.
interview, and I wanted just to ask you a few kind of closing questions.
Okay.
As you know, these videos will be part of an archive. It's going to be publicly available, so, generations from now, people will be able to look back and listen to stories. What do you think it is that they should know, Americans, 50 years, 100 years from now, about what was like the one thing you can say you think they should walk away from this and understand and know about the response effort, and then secondly, what they should remember about the responders?
Well, look back. If they look back on this, then look back further from where it really all started. We're just another part of history. It's sad that it repeated itself, because as far as I'm concerned, this happened once before, over in Hawaii, called Pearl Harbor, when we knew, and our intelligence knew that something was going to happen. But because we have to have inner structure within the government, and no one actually gives information to the other fellow. We had this problem there, and the same thing happened down here. We had the information about this going to happen, but we put it to the side. I hope 100 years from now that there still is a United States. I do. I believe if things go the way they're going, that the United States that is in the future is not the United States that we have now. If our government doesn't listen to the people, and the government doesn't see their own mistakes, we see it now. Just put it on any news channel that has anything to do but besides this country. There is so much civil unrest in all these third world countries right now. The people saying that they've had enough, overthrowing the government. You don't think that could happen here? Think of it. If people get fed up enough, if the government doesn't change their views, if they aren't for the people means you're there for us. That means you don't close your doors when we come talk to you. We're the people. We have a problem. They closed their doors. This country was like built under capitalism, not socialism. And that's what we have now. And if it keeps going that way, we're in a lot of trouble. We need to start to develop our own material again, like we did back in the 40s. They go yell about small business and stuff like that. Only way you're going to have small business is if you keep the large businesses here. And use the people that are here. If that doesn't change, 9/11 is probably just a small tip on the old iceberg there. Because it's going to happen again. I'm sorry to say. The attempts have been made already. But if we don't become better aware, if we don't become like a unity again, one country, one people, for God, I don't know if this history lesson is going to be good in 100 years. I don't know if America will even be here in 100 years if it goes the way it's going now. What do you think? What do you think about what I just said? I know it's a little out there.
I think it's an important thing to pay attention to.
But I'm not saying I would totally, I'm hoping it doesn't happen. But if you look at everything that's going on, if you look at all the lying that this government's doing to its own people, if you're letting your own people suffer, not just the 9/11 guys. I mean, it's a big, but Jesus, healthcare. We treat the older people like they're dirt. They're the ones that taught us, and then we throw them to the side. To me, it makes it just makes no sense that we do all this work for people outside this country, but we forget about our own people. You got people. Listen, there's a lot of us on the edge right now. Listen, I can't work. I have Social Security and comp. I pay child support in college. I have no money. I want to work. I can't even walk. I was out of breath before I even got to this door over here. I want to. It's not like I don't. And it's not like a lot of my 9/11 responders don't want to work. We were put into this position. I didn't want cancer. I didn't want level 4 cancer. I was put into this position by the actions of 9/11. All I'm asking for is help for me and my brothers and sisters. That's all. That's not being greedy. That's doing the right thing and stepping up and doing the right thing for your own people. If they don't do the right thing, not just for us, but for America and for their own people, America, all the values that we have and learned, it's all going to go away.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.